This is 10 Minutes at the Bar with Mike Teen. You give us 10 minutes. He gives you the world of Miami law.
Welcome back to 10 Minutes at the Bar. Our guest today is the famous Jackie Arango. Jackie is an amazing trial lawyer. She is currently the global head of the Government Criminal Investigations Department at the Akerman firm here in Miami. Before that, she was a senior trial counsel at the United States Attorney's Office for 16 years. We had a little technical problem with a non-working mic when I did Jackie's podcast earlier today at Starbucks. So today I'm going to introduce her using sound bites for you. Jackie first talks about a terrorism case that she prosecuted at the U.S. Attorney's Office where she was first chair. She talks about how she worked the case. It was at the time the most prominent and important terrorism case in the United States post 9/11. Every day it was on CNN, MSNBC, the front page of the New York Times. And she talks about what it was like to do that on 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night, basically for a year.
It was quite an experience. We started investigating the case through an informant who reported to the FBI that there was this group of men that were appearing to want to blow up buildings, wage war, that they were kind of crazy, and he was concerned about it. Anyways, the investigation ensued from there, and honestly, we almost tried to put impediments in front of this group as we went through the investigation. But at every step, they did everything to reflect that they were very interested in pursuing these goals. And so we had to continue the investigation, and ultimately they were arrested and prosecuted. And there was a lot of negative press at the time that they were a bunch of, actually they were African American, but the press in a way, I thought it was a bit offensive, acted as though they were too stupid to actually organize and accomplish any, terrorist goals. I thought that was sort of offensive because I found them all to be pretty smart. And the truth was, at the time, we took them down before they were able to do any harm. So there was a lot of speculation that they wouldn't have done what they wanted to do. But we felt we had gathered sufficient evidence to show that they did in fact have that intent, and we thwarted what we thought was going to be some dangerous conduct. It was my first hung trial, and I tried many cases at the U.S. Attorney's Office, and then it was my second hung trial. So the case went to trial 3 times. My son at the time was an infant, so trying to get him to daycare and coordinate picking him up and getting my witnesses ready. Of course, after my son went to sleep, I would go right back at preparing for trial. But every day you have to be prepared, and you also have to be prepared enough to know how to be flexible, because in trial you never know what you're going to experience, what's going to be coming at you. So you have to be able to think on your feet and have flexibility.
I asked for Jackie's advice as to what to do when something embarrassing happens in trial or something just goes wrong.
You know, it's funny. First of all, I just have to say there's gazillions of embarrassing moments in trial because you just never know what to expect. Witnesses go south. No matter how much you prepare, there's just a human element to it. But that is how you learn, is going through those embarrassing moments and learning how to just smoothly glide past and pretend as though everything that's happening is something that you totally expect, so that the jury doesn't realize that your case is falling apart. But I remember my first trial at the U.S. Attorney's Office because I wanted so desperately to be a trial lawyer. And when I got out of law school, being at a big law firm, I went to a lot of hearings, but I didn't do any trials. So I just remember doing my closing argument in front of a jury, and it was almost an outer-body experience. And I just felt so proud, and I wanted to pinch myself because I couldn't believe that this is what I get to do. Talk to a jury, connect, plead my case. And, it had really nothing to do with winning or losing or even the facts of the case. It was just that sense of accomplishment.
When I first met Jackie, I was a law clerk here in the Southern District of Florida. And Jackie stood out to me because of all the people who called in that year as attorneys calling in to speak with the clerks, she was the person who treated us with the most respect. And it was a joy for me when I finally met up with her when I got to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and she had already been there for a few years. Here, I asked Jackie, what advice would she give to young lawyers?
If you want to be a trial lawyer, I would recommend going to either a prosecutor's office or a public defender's office. There's no place that you're going to get better experience and just thrown into situations in front of a judge and a jury than working for the government, either prosecution or defense. I would highly recommend that, and I recommend that to anybody, any young lawyer that asks me, because they're just not going to get the trial experience that they want at a firm.
I asked Jackie why she decided to become a lawyer, and she talks about her mom, who was a pioneer in the field.
She did divorces. She did real estate. In fact, she became a real estate broker as well. She did criminal work, federal and state. In fact, I remember being a little girl going and seeing her in a federal criminal case before Judge King.
I asked Jackie if she has a mantra or a saying, something that she applies in her day-to-day life as a trial lawyer.
Yes, and it's a motto really that I learned in high school, reading Plato and Socrates, and it just always stuck with me. And it's be kind. Everybody is fighting a hard battle. And it's all about being compassionate and respectful and treating people with dignity. And I think what happens is you do that, and also it comes back to you. I treat people with respect, and it sort of permeates. And I think that I do believe that the key to life is our human relationships. It's the key to fulfilling a fulfilling and happy life. So I think just being kind to others is sort of a really basic tenet to live by.